Is Apple scamming its customers? Apple is one of the world's largest companies. There have been rumors, complaints, and maybe even some frustrating experiences. Are these just isolated incidents, or is Apple scamming you? From the infamous Batterygate scandal to questionable App Store practices and pricing strategies, we're going to dive deep into some of the most controversial actions by the tech giant. If you've ever wondered whether Apple really is a premium brand, or just a master at making you spend more money, Batterygate, the tech controversy in 2017, involved Apple's secret slowing down of older iPhones with software updates. Apple acknowledged that it throttled iPhone performance to prevent unexpected shutdowns because of aging batteries. However, it did not tell customers about this, leading many to believe their phones were getting worse with age. Apple apologized, offered discounted battery replacements, and added a feature to let users check their battery health. However, the damage was done, and Apple faced several lawsuits and was fined millions in various countries. This included a settlement in the US, where they agreed to pay up to $500 million. Some would even say this was a much larger strategy to get people upgrading to newer models. Given that each quarterly profit is heavily dependent on new iPhone sales, and with new models being pushed out annually, some critics have related this to a planned obsolescence strategy in which the company intentionally renders older devices less functional, making the latest products all the more tempting. Apple's monopoly on the App Store, where it charges a 30% commission from all paid apps and in-app purchases, has created tension among developers and consumers. What is being complained about is the fact that developers are forced to sell apps or in-app purchases on Apple's App Store exclusively for iOS apps. This means Apple would take a lion's share of the revenue, a policy some developers feel is unfair. Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, sued Apple in 2020 for anti-competitive behavior, claiming that the company blocked an option to pay directly for in-game purchases. While mixed in its ruling, the court found that Apple's policies are anti-competitive in nature, though it did not force Apple to open the App Store to other stores or cut the commission. Apple granted some concessions, like allowing developers to communicate with users about other ways to pay, but Apple still tightly controls the App Store. There's the question of whether Apple's 30% cut is a fair fee to maintain the App Store, or if it is an exercise in market manipulation. Apple has been accused of planned obsolescence, intentionally engineering a product to not last for very long, to force users into an upgrade cycle sooner than otherwise. Critics say Apple's hard stance on repairability, such as making devices like the iPhone difficult to repair, and its restriction of third-party repairs have contributed to the belief that Apple is deliberately making devices harder to fix, pushing people to buy new products instead. The right to repair movement has gained significant traction, with critics arguing that Apple's repair policies are anti-consumer, but also environmentally damaging. Other concerns include a lack of software support for older devices. Even though software updates are rather resource-intensive for older hardware, some users feel forced by Apple to upgrade when it does not offer comprehensive support for their older models. But one may question whether this is an example of planned obsolescence, or if Apple is simply evolving its technology at a pace that makes it difficult to maintain support for older models. This makes many users frustrated when they are left with devices that still work fine, but no longer receive updates. Apple products have always been premium priced, but prices have gone up in recent years. For example, the iPhone 15 Pro Max now starts at over $1,600. That's more than most rent payments. MacBook Pro and iPad Pro also have sky-high price tags. Apple has always offered premium products with premium experiences. Apple's ecosystem includes more than just the device. iMessage, iCloud, and Apple TV Plus are all part of this ecosystem. It just works seamlessly, and users are willing to pay extra for it. The question is Apple price gouging loyal customers or simply charging a premium for better service? Apple is also accused of marketing luxury. Their products have an aura of exclusivity, and as we know, consumers feel compelled to have things that are marketed as premium, no matter what they need. Ultimately, Apple's prices are subjective. Even when competitors offer similar features at lower prices, Apple can create demand. The infamous dongle drama. With the iPhone 7, Apple killed the headphone jack in 2016 to say wireless headphones were the future. That decision frustrated many users, especially those who relied on wired headphones. But to add insult to injury, Apple didn't even include a dongle and adapter to plug in your traditional headphones in the box. Instead, you had to buy it separately. It felt like Apple forced customers to spend extra money on accessories that used to be included. And it wasn't just the headphone jack. They also took away the USB-A port, which pushed users to buy USB-C adapters or new accessories altogether. Many consumers felt this was yet another way Apple was trying to squeeze a little extra cash from their customers by making them buy things that used to come standard. And with recent models, those feelings have only intensified due to the lack of chargers in the box.
So we are removing these items from the iPhone box, taken all together. The changes we've made for iPhone 12 cut over 2 million metric tons of carbon emissions annually.
While Apple justifies it as part of their environmental push to reduce e-waste, it's hard to ignore the fact that they're saving money on production while still selling accessories at a premium. Apple has been stingy with Mac models for 11 years, sticking with 8 GB of RAM. This is part of the business strategy for Apple to avoid direct competition with other companies. Steve Jobs never wanted the Mac operating system to be licensed to third-party PC makers, as this would create direct competition with Apple's hardware. Most customers like Apple's aesthetic, such as the iMac, and the exclusive software features that integrate the iMac with the iPhone or iPad. It really makes buying from Apple one of the more expensive variants, the most intriguing option. Customers don't buy Apple products for storage or RAM, so Apple can get away with this. They pocket the money that should go into putting decent amounts of RAM on computers retailing between $1,300 and $1,700, which is unheard of on any Windows PC. The second prong of this RAM scam is the upgrade cost. If you need to upgrade the RAM on your new iMac, you probably want to upgrade to an additional 8 or 24 gigabytes. Those upgrades are ridiculously overpriced. Apple tax is the popular terminology over the company's history as customers had to pay unappealing prices to get their appealing products. Apple ecosystem. Apple has created one of the strongest ecosystems in the tech world, where everything works together seamlessly. You've got iMessage, FaceTime, iCloud, Apple Watch, MacBook, iPhone, iPad, and the list continues on. The ecosystem works incredibly well, and many people love it. But here's the bad news. Once you're in, it's difficult to leave Apple's ecosystem. Everything is integrated, and the longer you use their services, the more you realize how many features work well if you're using more Apple products. Take the Apple Watch. Designed for iPhone, not Android, the ecosystem can be a trap. Apple makes it hard to use non-Apple products with their gadgets. If you want the best experience, you're forced to buy into the entire product line. This creates convenience, but it also locks you in, making it harder for consumers to switch to other brands. This lock-in strategy has been criticized as anti-competitive and caught regulators' attention in Europe and the US. Many controversies have surrounded Apple, including Batterygate, the App Store Commission, and constant price hikes. Apple is sometimes criticized for prioritizing profits over users. Ultimately, consumers must decide if Apple's tactics are worth the premium or if it's too much. Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more tech content.